Hello, I am a certified moth. Thank you for stopping into my video. I am a fine arts student. Currently, I'm majoring in painting and minoring in fiber, so I don't do a lot of digital art and I don't do a lot of design. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different to celebrate Pride Month. Because I used to be certain I was going into character design, and so this is a project idea left over from that time when I was really into that, which is designing the pride flags as people. I am not the best at character design, but I just wanted to do this to make little 14-year-old me happy who really wanted to do this project but just didn't have the skills to pull it off. Just some ground rules I set for myself. I let myself choose any natural color for the hair and the skin, plus accents if I needed to. I also let myself edit the colors to better work on a full design that doesn't make my eyes bleed. And then finally, I let myself play around with the color ratios. I didn't force them to be flag accurate. Also, I was struggling to design characters based off of just a pride flag, so I also decided to make them all art students. Because, I don't know, that's just what I'm interested in right now, of creating characters who are artists. Also, side note, all these characters are up on my art fight, which I will link in the description. I always try to revenge all the attacks I get, so feel free to draw any of these designs if you like them. Anyways, I started with the lesbian flag. I don't know if there's still discourse over which one is the right one to use. I chose the sunset one because it's just the one that came into popularity when I was a baby gay, and also I just think it's really pretty. I had a bit of a hard time with her design. I knew I wanted a sort of retro clothing look, but I initially designed her before I knew they were all going to be art students. But then, sort of after designing her, I decided to make her a photography major. I think she ended up being one of the better designs of the bunch. She was the one I had the most rough drafts for. But I ended up not drafting as much for the other designs because I couldn't afford to spend so much time on every single design for this little video. Because of this time constraint, I also could not shade any of these, which kind of sucks because I think my digital art kind of looks bad when it's unshaded. It might just be because I'm primarily a traditional artist, but it just looks very flat to me. That's one problem I have with my digital art, is just it looks flat. I definitely had some sketches where her hair looked better. I kind of fumbled with her hair with this. Probably something to do with it being many months since I last broke out my drawing tablet. I think my biggest critique of the design is the pants. I wanted a retro flower look, but I realized that would take forever, and I just don't like drawing patterns digitally by hand. And I found a brush that was sort of what I wanted, but it didn't have as much variation as I would like, and also they didn't overlap how I would like them to. The flowers ended up kind of sparse, which I feel like kind of took away from the retro feel, and as much as it would make sense to try balance all the colors to be used equally in this, if you know anything about color palettes, it's probably that choosing main and accent colors is very important to create a balanced, pleasing design. I made pink the main color and then orange and white the accent colors, and to try balance them, I tried to bring the pink throughout the design, in the flowers, makeup, hair clips, bag, and in the shoes. And then because brown is a shade of orange, the orange wasn't needed as much in the face and hair because their undertones helped to really balance it, but I still included it in the necklace and the makeup. I do think the white could have come up into the top half of the drawing more, maybe more on the bag strap, which I think it has colors too similar to the shirt and the vest. But overall though, I'm just very fond of her design. I think she turned out quite cute, and I hope her outfit gives off the vibes of someone who loves to dress nice for every day just in case she wants to snap a self-portrait, but also comfy enough for her to crawl or climb around to get the perfect shot if she needed to. I also came up with some personality for all the characters while drawing them to add more character for the sake of art fight. Butterflies are her favorite animal. She loves anything to do with them. She loves to visit butterfly sanctuaries with her friends, and she raises butterflies on her own as well. A lot of her photography includes butterflies, especially when she takes portraits, and I imagine she's a bit of a hopeless romantic and loves to find any way to romanticize her life. She's definitely an aesthetic Pinterest girly. She's pretty outgoing and loud, but she's also the type to appreciate a quiet, peaceful moment. And then I ended up naming her Lilith. The next character is the gay flag, which I have mixed feelings about. I honestly have mixed feelings about most of my male character designs. I'm sorry, it's just hard to make men look interesting. I went with the green and blue gay flag instead of the rainbow one because honestly at this point I don't even associate the rainbow flag with gay men anymore. I immediately wanted to lean away from creating a feminine white twink. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I just think it's kind of overdone in my opinion. I didn't want to go with anything super stereotypical for this. He is a sculpture major and does mostly woodworking, and I think one of my big issues with his design is that I sketched his rough design with a red pen. I did not consider how it would translate into the gay flag, because it's so cool, it's like such a cool color palette. And I just don't think this could look as good as it could if I had done it in the original color palette I sketched it in, which is my bad. Also, I just realized how short his one arm is. It's just driving me crazy. I kind of want to go back and fix it, but I just don't have the time to fix all the little mistakes in this video. I sketched these all in one go, like every single design, because my style can be inconsistent, but I think it made me make some silly mistakes because I was doing so many at once. Clothes are okay, I really like the bottom half, but the top half just does not do it for me. I think the coat needed to be thicker to change up the silhouette, and I just don't like the gradient on the shirt. Also, while I was just adjusting the color, the blues turned very purple. Oops. I think this was a drawing where I really struggled with color balance. I stressed too much about getting all 7 shades of the flag in this design instead of just considering how I could simplify the color palette or that it's okay if a color just remains a minor accent. The white stripes on the hat and the purple on the gloves and shirt are just examples of where I tried too hard to include everything in every part of this design. I also got to the end of coloring and realized I forgot about the white, so I had to go back and add it, which sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I think this character as a whole suffers from my unfamiliarity with interesting men's fashion. I was just really out of my element here and I think it really shows. Although I do really like the way I drew his braid. I think it's very cute. His name is Garrett, and he loves to hike, which I hope I got across in his boots and his design. I maybe didn't because I didn't have a reference for some reason. When I was sketching, I had a reference for his boots, and then when I did the final one, I was like, but I don't want to switch tabs, so I didn't. He's a kind of funny, eccentric guy. I think he definitely cares more for comfort than aesthetics. He works as a carpenter on the side, but he much prefers the freedom he has in sculpture to his carpenter job. He likes to make jokes, but I think he's the type to sort of start laughing before he even manages to get the joke out. But I think he would also have a very contagious laugh that makes everyone end up laughing anyways. He has a German Shepherd he takes hiking with him, and they look for fallen wood to use in his art. Very fun. The third character is based off of the bi flag, and I both love and dislike her design. Her name is Bianca, and she's a print major, which is why I made her a baddie. I took a print class, and I think only the strongest of the strong people can handle it. I can't even get into it. I think she's a character where I really managed to make her quite visually interesting despite such a limited and bright color palette. And I think the one part I don't like is literally just the pants. I would have liked to see them black, but I thought that'd be straying too far from the color palette. I do like that I sort of gave them a washed look to break up the purple with some pink, but I just think the top half of the design is really strong, especially in comparison to the pants. The bright pink dyed stripes in her hair really added some fun contrast to her head and also helped balance the bright pink of the shoes in the top half of the design. I also just really love her makeup. I didn't want to do makeup for every feminine character, but I thought the little bi stars were too cute not to pass up, because it's just such a pretty color palette. I also really like the way I did her feeding tube. I thought the colored tape was such a cute way to include the bi flag in it, just very fun. One issue I take with the face is that because one eye is covered by her hair, both the stars in her cheeks and the face tape ended up not really having enough space in between them, and the cheeks sort of got cluttered a little bit. But other than that, I love the shirt. I'm a really big fan of sheer materials, and I think the bi gradient sheer shirt just ended up being a super cute idea. Especially when I added the little star sparkles to break up the gradient a bit. I honestly don't really know if the bottom half of the design is actually that bad or if I just love the top half so much that it feels worse in comparison, but I think this piece is just another victim of the pride flags being so bright and saturated that a lot of neutrals would have been needed to balance the design, but I wasn't letting myself add more neutrals than just tiny accents, so yeah. I think the sheer shirt could have shown so much more if the tank top had been a darker navy or a black, and same with the pants. And I think the big issue is just that no individual part really has the ability to stand out because everything in the design demands your attention. And that's what ends up making pride flag themed drawing so tricky unless you're really willing to switch up the colors. I mean, I've definitely seen much better artists than me out there struggle with this similar thing, so I don't want to be too hard on myself, but it's hard also not to be disappointed when you have such high expectations for yourself. Personality-wise, I think Bianca can be short and quippy, but also a lot of fun to be around once you get to know her better. I think she'd be very active in local queer scenes, do drag, and do disability advocacy, especially like an overlap between the two. I think she'd be really into doing that. She takes a lot of pride in her fashion and has yet to give up on wearing her nice clothing to print class. She's definitely ruined so many nice outfits with ink and is too stubborn to give up after her friends teased her for it, even just once. I think she would mostly be into lino printing, but I am so biased because that's literally the only type of print I enjoy. The next character is based on the trans flag, and I named them Tegan. I decided rather than choose either a trans masc or a trans femme character to draw, I would draw a more androgynous character who could be interpreted as being either way, and that's why I'm going to use gender neutral pronouns for them. Feel free to headcanon them as whatever gender you like. Design-wise, I really wanted to give them light brown hair, but brown hair tends to be my default, so I gave them bleached hair. But then I ran into the issue of the yellow not balancing with the rest of the design. If I could have had more warm tones included in the bottom half of the drawing, even if they weren't actually yellow, I think it could have helped balance the hair, but the trans flag is just a very cool color palette, so I couldn't, so I feel like the yellow stands out just a bit too much. Maybe I should have made it a bit more neutral. I don't know. This was another character that suffered from me planning with just pencil, because this was a character design that in my head is very dark, lots of grays and browns and reds, and I think the clothes would have translated so much better into that color scheme. I honestly think this outfit is really sick, like the loose and baggy look is always one I'm going to enjoy, and I really like the hems on the shirt and the way they fall makes me feel like it's a very stretched out shirt that should be like really faded. One thing I definitely miss about my first draft is when I imagined the pants as dark, I wanted there to be bleach splatters that had been dyed pink and blue, but I just didn't think that idea would transfer onto white pants. It would have looked too much like paint, which would have made the design confusing because they aren't a painting major. So I ended up just going with vague blue and pink splotches, which I think falls flat in comparison to my initial idea. I do, however, really like the patterning of the shirt. I thought it ended up being a really nice way to break up the solid block of blue. I also like the use of the tears in the knee of the pants to break up the solid shape of the pants and add to the vibe of the outfit. One piece of clothing I wish I'd changed altogether though is the toque. I would make it much taller and looser to fit the vibe and also just to make the hat more visually distinct from Garrett. And also, just kind of off topic, but I'm really happy I gave them acne. I want to work more on making my characters less conventionally attractive, plus, I think it's just a fun callback to the fact that a lot of people going on HRT end up with acne. And also, as an adult with acne, I just want acne to be more included on mature characters. I feel like I've been seeing a lot more teen characters where they're allowed to have acne, but not as many adult characters, so yeah. Tegan is a jewelry major, and they also work as a barista at a small coffee shop, and I think they would be a total coffee elitist. They would also, I think, be an avid Tumblr user and run several pretty popular blogs. They love internet culture and definitely use a ton of internet speak, current and outdated, and I think they would be very quiet and introverted around people they don't know, but can talk on for hours upon hours with their friends. And then I also think they would be autistic and have a flat affect. The last character of this video was definitely the one I went the most out of my comfort zone with, which was the queer or rainbow flag. I also had the option to do the less recognizable queer flag, which is a bit more pastel, has less colors, and also it has black and white in it, but I ended up going with the full rainbow to push myself artistically and also just for the sake of recognizability. I wanted to push myself in color palette and really trying to distribute the colors across the design, but also diversity-wise. I definitely find myself leaning away from very dark skin tones unintentionally because I don't want to lose line art details, but honestly, that's just a really bad excuse because I think this skin turned out amazing. Even without any highlights or anything in it, I thought it was very cute. I wanted to go totally maximalist with this design, lots of colorful patches and designs, asymmetry and jewelry to add lots of splashes of color to it. And I was having mixed feelings about her design the whole time I was drawing it, but I think it ended up being very strong and pretty well balanced and just a lot of fun. I also wanted to explore natural hair in my black characters. I've always been a little bit intimidated because I want to do it right, but I think this hair turned out super cute, so I don't know what I was scared of. I ended up also adding makeup to him despite telling myself I would avoid giving it to all my more feminine characters. I genuinely don't know why, because I literally never draw makeup on any of my characters, but something about these bright, saturated color palettes made me want to draw fun makeup. In this case, I think it was the right decision because not only does it match the vibe of the outfit, but it also just brought some more cool colors into the face, which was so dominated by the warm tones in the hat and the skin. I wanted to make his design unapologetically queer. That's why I openly added the rainbow sock, the pride pin, the rainbow jewelry. I think like a lot of queer people, I went through a phase a few years back where I held some derision towards people who expressed their queerness too openly or loudly, and looking back on that, I think that's just so silly. Queer joy is something to be absolutely celebrated, and the fact that people feel comfortable openly expressing their queerness is so amazing to me. I honestly think I was just insecure and maybe a little bit mad I wasn't ever able to express myself like that. I feel like this design ended up kind of being wish fulfillment for 13-year-old me who desperately wanted to loudly express my newly discovered queerness to the world but was living in a conservative household in a small rural town. I definitely don't think this character is perfect, but honestly, I have a hard time critiquing her design because I just had so much fun with it. There's definitely some places where the balance of the colors is off or the patterns don't work, but I honestly don't care. Looking at her makes me smile, and I think that's more important to me than all the mistakes I made. I named this character Quinn, and I decided to make his pronouns she, him because I usually don't play around with my character's pronouns like that. He is a drawing major because the drawing major is kind of the catch-all major in art school, and I feel like queer is the catch-all identity. He's a total maximalist and loves to collect things, from rocks to go on his windowsill to little scraps of paper to go in a sketchbook. In his free time, he plays roller derby and loves to spend time outside. And she also loves to experiment with her art and techniques, and despite her bright and colorful style, she's actually very laid back and level-headed. She's definitely the kind to have some really meaningful comments to make about the things around her. Anyways, that's it for the designs in this video. Here are all of them together. Wow, very fun, very cool. I am working on a second part to this video with more pride flags. I will try my best to get it out during Pride Month if possible, but these videos take a lot of effort. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this lineup. I see a lot of ways I can improve these, but I think that's good. I have a lot of room to grow and improve, and these drawings just encourage me to keep improving my skills so I can do better next time. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I always really appreciate all those things. If you have any critiques or advice, please feel free to comment those as well. I'm always trying to learn. Also, I have just created a Kara account. I'm not leaving Instagram like some people are, but I want to join this new community. So yeah, if you want to check me out there, feel free. I'll be linked in the description. Thank you for watching until the end. Goodbye!